Hi everyone, it's Adrienne. I'm back with another video. I really wanted to do a walkthrough of the Daughters of the Moon Tarot. Not only do I love this deck, but I also wanted to show some modifications that I've been doing on this deck that I have. It will be a long process because there's a lot that I want to do besides coloring it in. So this will be a part 1 video of me talking about this deck. This is a newer black and white version that that's on Fiona Morgan's website, and I'll leave that below. I do have the vintage copy, which my boyfriend did gift to me, and we loved the deck so much that we got another copy for more of things that I wanted to do to it, because the older one, he reads off of it too, so he didn't want me trimming it as much. As you could see, I did trim a lot of it off, just doing a size comparison. It's crazy. But I guess my inspiration was the size of the mother piece. I didn't really connect to the mother piece. I don't have it, but I have seen it in stores. So this is my first circle deck. I wasn't really interested in getting one until he gifted it to me, and I'm like, wow, this is a really the information that was put into this deck is I would say very up my alley of what I was looking for, that I overlooked it being a moon or a circle deck. They do talk about why it's a circle deck in the booklet, and I'm really disappointed that I didn't that I don't have the 2 bolded papers that came with my package. So it came with 2 papers. One paper was more of saying what other things that were on her site, mainly books, and if you wanted to get a deck, and there's also pricing on there too. It does talk about mainly sacred feminine energy, which is exactly what I was looking for in a deck, but I didn't feel one that was quite resonating with me. I would say, have more of a darker aspect of how I view the sacred feminine. Maybe it's because the Morgan, who's my matron goddess, is a dark goddess, and she is more aggressive, and that's what I was looking for more in a deck, especially a feminine type of deck, also pertaining to moon energy, which I do have. I don't want to say I don't connect with it as much, but it does take me, it's a specific type of energy, which I will get into. I'm sorry, I'm just talking so much in this video. This will be a one-handed video because I'm holding my phone. I'm sorry if it's a little wobbly, but right off the bat, you can see again the differences in size, which I did trim, tracing with the top of this glass. So a lot of them, well, I let the cards speak for themselves of where they wanted me to cut it. So I wouldn't say that they're exactly, well, they're not centered for a lot of them, but whatever was left on the card is the message that really connects the way to the way that I read them, or that would be the best. I also did start coloring them, which you will see as I flip through the cards. Again, with my walkthroughs, they're not in order, so I think it makes it a little more interesting, because it may get, well, at least for me, sometimes I'm like, I don't want to see all the suits all together, but I don't mind it. So these are the 2 extra cards that it came with from the colored version of this deck, and on the back is the moon. So this is different. This is the Chariot, and sorry, the cardstock is thin, but I like the cardstock for the size of the card. and it's not too thin where it's going to be as noticeable as other cardstocks that are really thin and you're like, wow, this is, again, super thin. So the other card that I got, which was an extra, is the Two of Blades, which is the Two of Swords. Now, I knew that these colors were a bit bright for my taste, so I really wanted to get the black and white again after I had a chance to connect to the black and white vintage copy. Now, the black and white copy, the older one, has the moon card on the back, which I will do a side-by-side comparison eventually. I just with the trimmed version of this, I suppose. But the way that this came, it was actually on papers, and I was confused. I'm like, when I first got the package, I was worried that I ordered the wrong thing. But they did that so you can cut them out yourself, which was actually nice because I was going to trim it anyway. So I trimmed the borders first because I wanted to get it as small as I could. They were a fairly good size, but I wanted them to be even smaller than that because as a card slinger, we love shuffling cards, at least for me. And I wanted it to be the most, not thinking about the word, but at my convenience, basically. So the back of the deck is plain. My boyfriend did give me a good idea of maybe putting a stamp on it or something that makes it notably my deck. Although with these black and white decks, you can personalize it, especially with the energy. It's more of like an open book where you can customize it to how you would be able to connect with it the best. And that's what I find like so amazing about this deck. It actually reached my top 10, and I keep talking about my top 10. I do name the ones that are on it. I don't I haven't made a video for it, and I'm still completing the top 10 that I know the deck set will be on there for when I'm reading tarot. So this is the book. Again, it does come with the paper that does have interpretations for each card, including the name of the card on there too, which is also nice for people that don't want to get the book. It is also one of those decks where, at least for me, that I wanted to learn as much as I could about it. Some decks, a lot of decks, I'm like, I don't really want to read the guidebook because it's how I'm using it for my own personal, I guess, the way that it translates to me. So there's a select few decks that I do have that I'm like, I really want to delve into it. And that inspiration was also coming from Katie Flowers when she was talking about the Spiral Tarot, which is also on my top 10 unexpectedly because I didn't think I would be that enthusiastic about the deck, to be honest. So I do want to invest in the booklet, which it is out of print. So it might be a little more than what I would be used to paying for a book, but I don't think it would be that much. This is probably going to be a long video, I'm sorry. But I won't go that much into detail about this book. I may do that in another video because I have a lot to talk about this. So this is the table of contents. Again, it does talk about why the cards are round, and unintentionally the mother piece and this deck came out around the same time. Maybe the universe was talking about having a round deck. So yeah, there's the shape. I don't want to get too much into it because It is a nice book, and I would like other people to read about it too. It does have a picture of the card, which is also nice because I've trimmed it, and it's nice to see like the full card with the names. Also, there are a couple extra cards in this book, or in the deck. So they actually take away the Emperor. They have the Empress, which is this card. They have two lovers cards. So this is more of the sacred feminine, so it's not surprising that they have two women. Rarely any men in this deck. So the other two cards that are added to the major arcana is these two, Pan and Coyote Woman. Two aspects of the Devil card, and the Devil card is oppression, which is this one. So I don't have any, well, my videos are never scripted, but I hope I don't miss too much information, because there's a lot of stuff that I would like to say about it, since there's a lot of it's just a very deep deck. So for the vintage copy, which is the older copy, and the newer copy, the main difference is the backing, and it also is the moon card itself. We see Yemaya, which is one of my goddesses. We have this figure of a woman, and in the original one, she is portrayed as, basically she's not black. So she has a braid, and I'll show that when I have my other deck on me, because I am in the process of moving. So that's what I'll do when I am with both of my decks. I'll be right back. My foot's falling asleep, so I'm gonna change positions. And if you've been looking through this book and you've seen the pictures, you could see that there's a lot of different goddesses, and it's a multicultural deck, which is always a plus for me. So there is the Maiden, Mother, and Crone for this deck. There aren't the 4 court cards. They did change the astrological associations for some of them. The Pentacle suit and the Fire suit, which is the Flames. So you could see that we have the Maiden of Flames associated with Page and Knights, which I would like to say that with the card translations of being the Page/Knight, I would say that it does translate more for Page for me in this deck. If you guys feel the same way too, you can let me know. But that's how I'll be reading it. Or I'll say Maiden of Flames when I'm doing a reading, and I'll give whatever information is I need to give for that reading. But Mother of Flames, Leo, which is usually associated with the King of Flames, but it isn't in this deck. And then we have Sagittarius, which is usually the Knight of Flames, but I actually like that for it, because Sagittarius is such a free spirit, and it really, I could see why it embodies the King of Wands and the Queen of Wands, which I don't really have those and or type of interpretations for it. It is more the King of Wands for me. So it introduces the court cards first, and then it goes into the actual cards. So I'll show, and I'm not sure, I did notice that they do usually have what sign it's with, but for this one, it doesn't have it on the actual card. So this one has Scorpio, and this one has Cancer. And I'll just skip to the Pentacles so you can see what they switched up. And that was the bibliography. So, and about the author. it does talk about the suit before getting into the cards. So we have Virgo. These two are switched up with the Crone of Pentacles and the Mother of Pentacles, so Taurus and Capricorn. So I would like to note before getting into the walkthrough of when I was talking about the court cards or the Maiden, Mother, and Crone for this deck, that there may be more flexibility than what I'm giving it, but those are the translations that I have for myself when I'm reading. So if you guys want to keep that in mind. I shuffled the deck before filming, so I asked what card should be the first card that will be shown in this walkthrough, so the Three of Flames came out. I basically put the glass wherever I felt like was where I felt led to, and then I traced it and then I trimmed it. So this isn't the most perfect trim job since it is a little challenging getting it for a circle. You know those corner rounders? It'd be cool if they had a circular version of that just for circle decks. That would be it would be an interesting contraption. So I am feeling that my color palette for this one will be more toned down. I am starting to lighten the bolder colors that I have for the deck. I think it meshes with my energy a lot better. And as you can see for the Ten of Pentacles, there were originally 10 people in the crowd, but it's okay. This actually does make 10 people overall with these two right there. Really love the result of the Nine of Cups. The way that after it came out, after I cut it. And the colors, I'm going to keep going back and forth. I am still working on the shade that I want the pink to be. And you're always going to see something that you didn't notice before, like for this card, the Judgment card. I didn't realize that this was a stomach and a woman, so I thought that was pretty cool. I would say this is one of my favorite cards. And I may laminate it. Also, when it comes in that paper format where you're cutting it, there's a description of what you can do to make the cardstock thicker. I may wet it a little bit because it does give it more of a dense texture. But I don't mind how it is right now. That'll be along the line. Just because I was in the bathtub and this is the first time I've ever dropped a card, or there were 3 cards that dropped in the tub, I knew it was going to be alright because of the cardstock, but it was when the cards were bigger than this too. I just did the trimming yesterday, actually. This is my favorite card that I colored in. I have to go a little lighter on it because I started to dig into the paper. But the colors that I used here are actually the colors that are my butterfly wings on my back. I'm not a very tech savvy person, so I don't know how to Well, I'm just filming on my phone, so I'm not sure if I can edit stuff in. And for the 10 of Swords, you can see, or 10 of Blades, there's the blades right here. But I like the way that it turned out, and I don't mind having that. And sometimes, like, you wonder, and it makes you think more of what's cut off, or not needing to think about what the specific thing is cut off, but what does it look like to you when you're reading. And I like a lot of the interpretations that it's more of an expansion, and it makes you think about things in a different way, especially for the Four of Flames. I did do a bit of light blue here. It may not show up, or there may be a little bit of a tint because it's very faint even in person. So you might see it more in sunlight, but it's nighttime right now. And that was because of the original one, the original copy of the Daughters of the Moon, how it has that color. I'm doing it gradually because I don't want to color it in and then it's not what feels right to me. So there may be a pop of color and then eventually they'll be colored in. I think this is such a sweet card. As well, I may get into that in another video, but it has pregnant women on there. The Six of Flames. But I'm so satisfied with the way that it turned out. Because with extreme trim jobs or any type of modification that you put on a deck, sometimes it takes away the vision of what it was meant to be there. But I know that it's open to each person, the way that every person receives the deck and the messages, but I wanted to keep the vision of what Fiona had for him, this deck. It's a very watery one for me, at least. It does have more of a Scorpio energy, in my opinion. Which is great for me because most of my chart is in Scorpio. This is the Scorpio card. The Crone of Water, or Crone of Cups. I may get the colored version. I don't know how much I'll use it. I know I'm going to probably stick to this one because it's the most personalized to me. And I'll do videos gradually to talk about why I colored what. But for this one, I really love the interracial couple because my boyfriend and I are an interracial couple. And I would highly recommend this black and white deck just because I was watching round decks. I'm sorry if I don't pronounce her YouTube name correctly because I kind of skimmed through it, but I know who you are, isnt. I'll leave her below, and it also led me to Veronica Jude's round deck. Well, she was showing some round decks, and she was talking about how she didn't connect to the Daughters of the Moon. So it's not uncommon for decks to not connect to people, but if the colored version doesn't work for you, there could be a chance that the black and white one would work. And I am getting mostly crone energy from this deck. I'm gonna, I suppose, buff it out to make it dimmer. Because I like bold colors, but I like a dim version of the bold colors, if that makes sense. Like more of a, I don't want to say vintage, but my style is usually like more, I want to say, there's a simple phrase, like stuff looks used, but I like the used look. Sorry, I'm just changing positions. So this is the two blades again. I love the Justice card now. Well, I loved it before, but I love the angle that it's at because it's off center. And so the wheel too. I really like the way that it turned out. I put red hair because I have red hair. I've had red hair for years, and then I grew it out, had natural hair. Now I'm back at red hair. It's just one of those things. And I love the 8 of Flames. I will buff this one out too. And I did go a bit hard. I usually work with acrylics. Acrylic paint. So I did have to... well, I do love drawing and coloring stuff in. But with acrylics or with painting, I feel like it's easier on the hands. So... it's just an inviting deck, but it's deep. Like, it's definitely not underestimated with the messages and energy that it brings. Which is why I feel like it's crone. This is one of the cards that fell in the tub, so you could see that it's changed a bit of the texture. And I always I connect a lot with the desert. Sorry, I'm just trying to get that glare out, but you'll see the cards when I put them up front. I hope that it's focusing. I hope the last few were focusing because I just focused it. I really like the color that I used for this. It's like a burnt, like your... almost reminds me of a lobster, but you know when some people get sunburnt. And this is Pele, the 5 of Pentacles. I'm glad I caught myself before I carried on because I don't like when I'm watching it over. I'm like, why did I say that? I meant to say the 5 of Flames. Sorry. The Lovers, and my inspiration was my vagina because you can't really see the coloration, but I used like a yellowish pink. Sorry if that grosses you guys out, but I wanted to make this personal, so the color that I actually used, the name of the colored pencil was Salmon. So I thought that's funny. This one, I had to make choices where, I guess, I'm satisfied with the way that it turned out, but this is the 4 of Cups. I don't need all the symbolism on here, but I feel like it doesn't bother me. For some people, it may be like, there's only 3 cups, but it's the 4 of Cups, you know. But you can say that the water coming from above her is the 4th cup. So this one kind of reminds me of an avocado in the 9 of Pentacles. And this is definitely a different interpretation for the Nine of Flames, but it does make sense. And then the last card, funny enough, is the Dreamer card, which is the Fool. So I hope that was helpful for some people, if in case you guys were deterred by the size of the cards, if you wanted to trim them, or if you wanted to get the black and white version to connect to it better. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in another video.